This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you with a look at the 24mm Mason RDA and the 40mm Mason RDA, sent on over from thecloudyvapor.com. So come on in here, let's take a look at these guys. These are the Mason RDAs. RDAs, yes, there's actually 3 Mason RDAs in existence. One of them is a 24mm RDA, one of them is a 30mm RDA, and one of them is a 40mm RDA. We're going to be taking a look at 2 of them today. We're going to be taking a look at the 24mm version and the 40mm version. The monster. I gotta tell you, this thing is big. Thecloudyvapor.com was kind enough to send on over the 24mm version and the 40mm version, mainly to get an idea of size, just to compare the two. And I gotta tell you, there's a big difference here. Come packaged just like this in these really nice, well-designed boxes. And they partnered with a few companies coming out with these RDAs as well. They partnered with Cotton Bacon and they partnered with Bob Wire. So with these RDAs, you also get samples of some other products out in the market as well. You get samples of Cotton Bacon and samples of Bob Wire, depending upon which size Mason RDA you decide to get. It's kind of cool to get a package deal where you get to sample some other products along with it. I want to see more companies come out with partnerships like this because I feel like it just adds value to the product. I really like that concept. Slide them on open, and inside you've got your RDA and your accessories. And I really like when companies do this where their RDAs are in their own little compartment inside the box. It really exudes like a very finished kind of quality to the whole look of the packaging. Really sets their devices apart. The 24mm version of the Mason breaks down, so you get your outer airflow sleeve, your inner airflow sleeve, your deck, your chuff cap once again, your sample of Cotton Bacon, a sample of Bob Wire. Extras, you get a little red screwdriver, you get some extra O-rings, you get a copper center post. Nice bunch of extras they throw in here, as well as the samples. I really love all the samples that you get here. That's awesome value is what it is. The 40mm Mason breaks down, so you get your deck, your big 40mm deck. You get your spare Delrin top cap that you can change out, I guess, if you ever wear it out or whatever. You get 2 airflow sleeves. You get one with 2 airflow holes, you get one with 4 airflow holes, which is really nice because with these big RDAs, sometimes they have way too much airflow. So it's nice that you can cut it in half with, you know, half the airflow holes. I really like that option that it comes with there. That's thinking ahead is what it is. I like that. You also get your top cap with your airflow control built into the inside of the top cap there. A sample of Bob Wire. No sample of Cotton Bacon with the 40mm version that I have, but you do get your extras as well. You get the red screwdriver, some O-rings, you get an extra copper center post. Nice extras that they throw in with these RDAs. I really like the packaging, really like the extras, really like the samples they come with. The Mason RDAs definitely do have a lot of airflow. These airflow slots are very big, but they are fully adjustable, broken up into 2 sections. You've got the smaller section up top and the larger section underneath, and as you turn the airflow, it closes off the top section first and then starts to close off the bottom section little by little, and you can adjust it to your liking that way. I like that it's very flexible in terms of the airflow. There's definitely going to be a setting on here that's going to suit anybody's tastes. You can adjust the airflow so you're closing off both the top and bottom sections at the same time, just the top section, and as you close off the top section, you can start to close off the bottom section little by little to your liking. Very flexible, a lot of airflow options on the Mason RDAs. And with the 40mm version, you get a quad airflow option and a dual airflow option, which is really nice, especially with such a large piece. The bottom says designed by Vapergate, and it's got a copper positive pin. My 40mm version is serialized with number 274. My 24mm version is serialized with number 380. Now let's get a sense of size here. Here's a 24mm version. Pretty big. 24mm is nice. Most RDAs are 22mm, and you know, 24mm RDAs, I can take them or leave them. Honestly, I mean, I don't understand the trend completely. I kind of wish if they were going to be 24mm, just make them 22mm so they sit flush on everything, so there's not an overhang. that 1 millimeter on each side isn't going to make me or break me, to be honest with you. And now here's the 40 millimeter version. Wow, it's like a frying pan. Okay, it's like you could make some eggs on this thing. It's big. It's really, really, really big. Ridiculously so. So ridiculous that they made that center post just enormous. I love the size of this center post. It's got 4 terminals on there. 4 3 millimeter terminals. I mean, that opens up a lot of build options, honestly. I really, really like the concept of that deck. I like that the negative posts, which are milled into the deck, have 2 terminals, 1 on each side with the screw on each of them. Definitely gives you plenty of room for any build you want to put in here. I mean, forget about, you know, worrying if a 3 millimeter internal diameter is going to fit. I mean, you're going to be hard pressed with the 40 millimeter version to find a diameter or coil that's not going to fit in here. The 24 millimeter version is a really nice deck too. It's a quad terminal deck, your standard, you know, negative post milled into the deck, square T-post design. I mean, it's a really nice deck. There ain't nothing wrong with it. It's a really nice RDA. But when you look at that 40 millimeter version, I mean, that thing is serious, man. Serious. You can throw some crazy builds in here. And not only with these RDAs are the negative posts milled into the deck, but they're milled into the deck in a really, really interesting way. They kept the deck open completely. So I guess that you can make a really nice bed of cotton with it. And it probably helps the airflow a bit underneath the coils and underneath the posts. It's kind of like a little overhang with those negative posts. I really like the idea behind that. It's really, really nice. I like that it's going to make it easy to make a nice bed of cotton underneath those posts. I like that it's going to be good for the airflow underneath the posts as well. Really like that design. It just looks kind of cool too when you look at it. But at the same time, you look a little closer at it, and well, that's the one place on these RDAs where the machining kind of went awry. I mean, it's not terrible. For the price, it's not a big deal at all, honestly. But it's one spot on the RDA where there's a little bit of, you know, debris that's been left behind from the CNC machine. There's definitely some parts that would have benefited from a little time with the Dremel, just getting everything cleaned out. If you have a Dremel or some kind of metal work tool, you can probably clean that up a bit. It's not a deal breaker or anything. I just wish that it was a little bit more clean on those negative posts. Other than that, everything about the RDA is really, really nice. Does have some machine oil here. You will definitely want to remember to clean this before first use, but overall, I think that they're made really well. I love the size of the posts. I love the size of the RDAs. I mean, 40 millimeters, it's going to have an overhang on anything you put here. But, I mean, in terms of build options, you can really do some crazy things with that 40 millimeter version, I got to tell you. And the screws are really nice and chunky too. I really love the screws here. And I like that they're Phillips head. Love me a Phillips head screw. I mean, they're just so easy to work with. Anyway, guys, those are the Mason RDAs. I'll see you guys on up top side. We'll vape on them. We'll talk about them. Well, YouTube, those are the Mason RDAs from Vapergate. Sent on over free for the purpose of this review by thecloudyvapor.com. And I gotta tell you, I've really been enjoying them, both of them. The 40 millimeter version is fantastic for making those really big, beefy coils in there. You can do a lot of different things with this RDA. What I've gotten here right now on this big motherfucker is a 26 gauge staggered fuse Clapton with 36, and it is paralleled with a 24 gauge and 11 wraps dual coil. Ohms out at about 0.2 ohms. What I've gotten here is a staple Staggerton. It is a single coil. I know this is only a dual airflow RDA, but working with ribbon wire, sometimes it can get real hot real fast, so I went ahead and put it in this RDA so I can have, both airflow holes on it, and it helps to cool it down a good deal. It's a 0.13 ohm coil, and I've got it on the Homewrecker box mod, also from thecloudyvapor.com. What I really love most about the Mason RDAs is the build space and the deck, honestly. The deck even on the 24 millimeter version, I could care less if it's 24 millimeters versus 22 millimeters. I don't think that makes a world of difference, but the post holes are nice and beefy, and it's really, really easy to build on, especially with, you know, good thick gauge wire. And this one, the 40 millimeter behemoth, a lot of things it's going to look really ridiculous on. But, you know, what I like about it is all the build space. These RDAs have big airflow. They're more for cloud chasers than anything else. But, you know, it being fully adjustable, you can close it down, open it up as much as you want. I mean, if you look all the way on this side, there's a tiny little bit of air there, and also on the other side, since it's a dual airflow RDA only, that's a mouth-to-lung style hit on this thing. I would never vape it that way. It would be a waste of the RDA. It's more for clouds. I mean, it's a big cloud addy. A lot of vapor production. Even wide open, that stakeable Staggerton, still get tons of flavor on it. Tons of flavor on that Staggerton. It's delicious. That's with just the bottom airflow open. Maybe a little more than halfway open. Maybe a little more than halfway. Perfect. Right there. That's where I like it. Just a little bit more than halfway open on the bottom airflow slot and leave the top one completely closed. That's where I like to vape this thing. Good and cloudy, lots of vapor production. Great build, great RDA. I mean, looking for just a standard quad post RDA, you can't really go wrong unless you're looking for a single airflow option. I actually really like this RDA. It's a good vape. I kind of wish that I could use my own drip tips on it. Kind of wish there was a single airflow option, but overall, I like it. This one, this monster, looks silly on everything you put on it. Everything looks silly. Flavor is excellent. It's a good, thick vape. Thick vapor, thick flavor. Very tasty. Very tasty. Now, I find on the 40 millimeter version, it's a lot harder to adjust than the 30 millimeter version. Kind of it's a two-hand operation to adjust that. The 30 millimeter version, the tolerances on the O-rings, I think they're a little bit more forgiving. The tolerances on the 40 millimeter version, they're a little bit tighter. Wide open with the dual airflow top cap. A lot of airflow. It's like you're breathing through it at that point, which is, you know, the case with larger RDAs that, you know, sometimes they have way too much airflow, and this wide open, too much airflow. It's loud, you're breathing through it. It's not my thing. I like it about the same as I do with the 24 millimeter version. Closed off the top completely. The bottom one about a little more than halfway open. Good, thick, dense flavor. Good vape. Good vape. And a lot of fun to build on this one. I mean, build options on this deck, they're pretty limitless. You can do anything with this deck. I just, you know, first thing I saw was just the potential for a massive coil with a lot of surface area. So that's what I went for to start. But I have a feeling we'll be coming back to this one again. There's a lot of fun to be had with this deck. Let's try it with the quad airflow cap. I think I'm going to treat it the same way. Maybe close it off a little more than halfway if I'm using the quad cap. About like that, I guess. Something like that. We'll try that to start. And I'm going to position this so that the airflow is like coming in at an angle like this against the coils. I think that's what we're going to do. It's actually pretty nice. I kind of like it. Let's turn it up a bit more though. Let's turn it up about 120, 0.2 ohm coil, maybe 125. It's going to be hit with about 5 volts. Good heat at the 5 volts. A lot of flavor, a lot of cloud production. This thing is always, still has vape pouring out of it every time I take a hit. Every time I take a hit, I have a hard time clearing this chamber of vapor. I mean, it comes pouring out afterwards. Damn. That's delicious. Delicious. Nice and warm with the 5 volts going through it, 125 watts, 0.2 ohm coil. That's nice. I really like that with the quad airflow. I didn't think I would, but I do. I tried it with the quad airflow cap before. I wasn't a fan of it, but now that I've figured out, how I like the airflow, it's actually pretty nice. Really cloudy. Really cloudy. This is going to be a cloud chaser's dream. If you're a cloud chaser, that's the one for you, the 40 millimeter version. And if you're a builder, if you just like really messing around with like ginormous builds and complicated builds, that's the one. A lot of fun to be had with that RDA. And also, if you're not a fan of dripping regularly, I've got a massive bed of cotton in here. Basically, the whole deck is coated in cotton. And I don't have to drip very often with this RDA. I was worried that, with that bed of cotton, the juice wouldn't make it up to the coil so efficiently, but it does. Pricing is awesome for what they are. I did not realize the 40 millimeter version was only $60. That's a steal if you ask me. And the 24 millimeter version being only $45, that's awesome. An authentic RDA for $45 like that. And I also love all the extras that you get. Not just like the extra, post, the extra O-rings, that's nice and all, but what's really nice is the extra cotton bacon. Have not tried the bob wire yet. I really like these. They're fun, and I plan on putting a lot more builds in the 40 millimeter version for sure. The 24 millimeter version is a really nice quad terminal deck too. For a quad terminal, I mean, those post holes are nice and beefy, and the screws are nice on these too. I really like the screws. The only criticism I have of them really are on those negative posts. Those negative posts, they just could have been made a bit more clean. I think they got a little lazy with the CNC machine on the negative posts. Other than that, for the price, for what you get, great RDAs. Aside from that, guys, some quick housekeeping. Want to let you know that the live vaping collaboration between myself, Robbie Vapes, Hank Vapes, and Vapin' Heathen, Project Fog, will no longer be on Sunday nights. It's been moved to a new night, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll see you there in a couple days' time. And tonight I'll be watching the Walking Dead finale, biting my fingernails, worried about what's going to happen next. So, till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.